Nomfundo Qaluba coming through with the bye, giving you a little bit of that jazzy start to the afternoon. Quite nostalgic, this particular tune, and I think it speaks a lot to the influences that have shaped her musical career and her artistry. Epai is the name of this particular song, and by the way, she is the 2014 Arts and Culture Trust Impact Award for Music winner, and she joined quite the illustrious alumni of creatives being awarded by the oldest Arts and Culture Award in the country, as handed down by the Arts and Culture Trust. Born in PE herself and having won Best Jazz Album, Best Urban Jazz Album, that is, for Gusile in 2014 at the Metro FM Music Awards. And that particular project was actually produced by fellow musicians, Mandisi Janchis and Bukani Daya themselves, also highly respected as the keepers of the new school in the musical form. It's just gone 10 past 1 o'clock. I hope that you are having a great day. We are kicking off what I think is going to be an interesting show today. We're going to be in conversation as part of a series we hope to bring you, a two-part series over this Heritage Month, three-part series over this Heritage Month, focusing on some of South Africa's very unique cultures, tribes, clans and nations. And we're hoping to just get enlightened a little bit more about things that maybe we don't know. I know certainly things that I don't know. And so we kick it off today, and we're going to be touching base with His Majesty King Makhosoke, who is the king of the Amandebele nation as a whole, as well as Unkosi Mvelo Nokonyama, who is the traditional leader of Amabala under the Mpondos, and that forms part of the greater Xhosa nation. And we'll find out more also about just the distinctions between the clans and the tribes and the nations, and everything else in between. So if you have a curiosity around, these two particular nations, then you're more than welcome to join our conversation on 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, or 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to send through a WhatsApp message. We absolutely invite you to do so. We'll tell you what else is coming up on the show as the show unfolds. Let's take a quick break.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
Catching up now with His Majesty King Makhosoke, who is the king of Amandebele nation as a whole. And joining us later on in the conversation, we're going to also be joined by Unkosi Mvelo Nokonyana, who is the traditional leader of Amabala. And we're just trying to get him on the line. And once we have him on the line, we're going to definitely jump into the conversation. So we know that, of course, we are the Rainbow Nation, as fondly declared by the late great statesman Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. But how true is this? Because as much as we are diverse and we are colorful as a nation, multicultural, multilingual, with so many groupings that contribute to just the uniqueness of us as South Africans, we really don't know much about peoples outside of our own nations, our own cultures. And so we thought it'd be interesting for us to learn together during this Heritage Month and speak to as many nations and tribes and clans as we possibly can, and just try and extract some of that information from them. And so His Majesty joins me now on the line. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm fine, and how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the conversation. We appreciate it. King Makhosoke, who is the king of Amandebele, the nation as a whole. And I think maybe let's start there, King Makhosoke, if you would indulge me. I'm told that there is a distinction between the royal kingdom and the royal house. And so maybe let's start at that beginning, just to understand when the title says the king of Amandebele nation as a whole. What does all of the whole encompass?
Yeah, I can maybe simply explain this by saying a kingship, it's a royal family.
Mm.
And the royal family, amongst other things that they are doing, is to appoint a king or a senior traditional leader who will represent that nationality and the kingship.
Okay. So you...
A king is a person. Let's get it correct.
Okay.
A king is a person. A kingship are people of royal family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think we got it. I think. Sorry, we thought you're going to elaborate even more, but I think we got exactly what you are trying to help us understand. So you obviously appointed to position of king, coronated from what I read. Coronated quite well. I'm assuming young. I don't know because it says in 1986, if I'm not mistaken, right? Was your coronation?
Correctly so. And I apologize because we might think that I'm an old-timey person. I'm just a slender person.
Okay. So in 1986, when you were coronated, let's see how young were you when you sort of became the king of Amandebele? And at the time, I'm presuming you obviously come from a lineage of kings and queens. If you can explain that to us.
Yeah. I think we have sent you our lineage, starting from King Ndebele, the founder of the Ndebele nation.
Mm-hmm.
From 1400, our history is dating from 1400 in the Transvaal till today.
Yeah. But I think just for the purposes of the conversation, in part, what we're hoping to do with the conversation is to educate not just myself, but also our listeners. So if we can expand a little bit as much as we possibly can, that would be great. I think just for the purposes of everyone's curiosity and the intention behind this particular series. So if you don't mind expanding for us about the lineage of how the royals, your legacy, your family, come to be royal, perhaps with the Ndebeles. And I know obviously there's all kinds of personal nuances when we talk about families ascending to titles of royalty. But what you can tell us about the history, what you're comfortable telling us about the history, that would be awesome.
I would prefer if you lead me with questions, but if you look our history as other African people, normally it's from father to son till today.
Yeah. Okay. So by way of your family tree, so it is a sort of a patriarchal lineage, father to son, grandfather to your father, to yourself. And then by way of the family trees in the Ndebele nations, is there always just one family that gets ascended to kingdomship, or are there different then clans and tribes that fall under the king, and each one headed by a different chief or a different Nkosi or whatever the title might be in the Ndebele nation?
I think also I must clarify this. The king in any nationality is one. That family where it appoints the chief, it will go like that. But there are traditional leaders, they are junior to the king. And if you look the history of South Africa, more than 120 years, there were less than 150 senior traditional leaders. But today, they are plus minus 850. Others, they were appointed by apartheid government. Others, they were appointed by the homeland government. Others, they were appointed by our new democratic government. That's why the number is so high today of senior traditional leaders. But honestly speaking, you can't have more than 2 kings or queens in one nationality. Then there's something wrong.
Okay. All right. And of course, as you say, in your family, it was your grandfather, great-grandfather, father, you. So that makes you, in the lineage, you are, I know we said His Majesty King Makhosoke II, but that could just imply that you are named after. You are the second one to have that name. In the lineage, you are number where of kings?
In my lineage, I'm number 31.
31. So there's been 30 before you?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. And all of them males. What happens, King, if you have, and I'm presuming that it's always the first eldest son, right? What happens if you yourself just have daughters?
Well, that will bring more confusion because the laws that we are using today, which you cannot discriminate a person because of gender. It's where then there will be a problem. I don't know how can one deal with that.
I'm sure you'll find an innovative way somewhere down the line. I want to take a quick break here. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line. If while we have His Majesty King Makhosoke II of Amandebele, if you have any questions that maybe you'd like to ask, you've always been curious about the Ndebele culture, the Ndebele people, he's the foremost authority, so he'll be in a position to tell us the things that we need to know about these very interesting people. And the lines are open right now. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back on the other side.
Unlock a world of benefits. Welcome to SABC's TV License Rewards program. Ready to make your viewing experience more rewarding? Say hello to perks that go beyond just watching TV. Join us today at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and instantly receive your first reward. But wait, there's more. You can get up to 500 Rand back. Become part of something bigger, a movement where watching TV isn't just a hobby. It's a catalyst for positive change. Register now at sabctvlicenserewards.co.za and open the door to a world of benefits. Plus, every time you tune in, you're making a difference. T's and C's apply. Remember, TV license fees aren't just payments. They make a difference. The varsity derby between Amatak's ladies and UWC ladies will display who are the brightest students. UWC target the top spot, while Amatak's want to break into the top 3. This is the Hollywood Best Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. University of Pretoria Ladies FC versus University of the Western Cape Ladies FC on Sunday, 15 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
I mean, as we have this exploratory conversation, you must forgive me if I don't use all the correct royal terminologies. I've never been a king or queen myself in this lifetime, as far as I know. And so I wouldn't even know what all the right terminologies and, the appropriate wordings for situations are. We're in conversation with King Makhosoke II, who is the Amandebele king, well, the Amandebele nation king, and that is the Amandebele nation as a whole. And we're just learning a little bit more about this very colorful nation in as far as how we experience Ndebele culture. Of course, the first thing that jumps to mind for most of us is the strikingly geometric, colorful murals and the intricate beadworks that adorn the homes and, of course, the ladies of the Ndebeles. But hopefully today we'll walk away from this conversation with King Makhosoke II knowing a little bit more. Let's talk a little bit also, King, about, the rites of passage for the Ndebele nation. For instance, when it comes to young men and young maidens, what kind of rites of passage do the Ndebele people observe? The Zulus have their thing. We've got the reed dance coming up this weekend, for instance, for the young maidens. Do you have any kind of similar cultural practices, or what is uniquely Ndebele to mark the different stages of a young man and a young maiden coming to each age and stage?
Yeah, no, we the Ndebeles, we take our male boys to Ingoma. Mm-hmm. I don't want to use the term, the English term that is initiation, because it seems it's a confusion. I can't interpret that. It seems fine. It does not mean what we are saying. We are saying Ingoma, it ends up there. Okay. And the female children, they go to Ikute, Bayoktomba. It ends up there.
Uptomba.
Yebo, yes.
Uptomba. And ngeke usitshele ukuthi what happens engoma nasebtomba, ne? Because it's sacred. Or can you give us little hints?
Is a taboo. It's easy when one wants to know. Mm-hmm. Just for him to can go there, and then he will know what's happening.
and at what ages do the young men go to Ingoma and the young maidens go to Uptomba?
Normally, in the normal situation, from 18, 19, 20, 24, a male one can go. Okay. But that does not restrict you. Even if you have 50 years, you can go.
Okay. You can go. All right. And then I figure the young maidens also similar ages. I'll just use my imagination because, I am a Tsonga/Swati/Zulu woman myself. So I'll just use my imagination and see what happens at Uptomba for the young ladies, and of course when the young males go to Ingoma. Let's take a quick pause here for the headline news. If you'd entertain me, His Majesty, and then we'll come back on the other side of this. We've got some callers that also are very curious about the Ndebele culture, and they want to engage you a little bit if you'd entertain us. And of course, in as far as however you are comfortable, you may answer the questions or the comments that are posed to you. I think it is Madupi Makhalamele standing by with the headline news.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridge. Indeed, it is. In your headlines this hour, there's been an outbreak of rabies among seals in the northern parts of the Northern Cape. Another person arrested in connection with the theft and money laundering case involving IEC Commissioner Nomsama Suku has been granted 10,000 rand bail. And the DA has threatened to walk out of the Government of National Unity should President Cyril Ramaphosa sign the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill into law. Details of these and other stories coming up 2 o'clock.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on the Full Circle.
All right, let's go to WhatsApp. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
Hello, SAFM. I know I might not be clear. May the King please explain the difference between Zimbabwean Ndebele and South African Ndebele. Thank you.
All right, we're going to bank that, and then we'll go to a call, and then we'll come back, and His Majesty can answer. Hello?
No, how are you?
I'm all right. Is it Puto?
No, that's Mulala.
Ah, okay. Mulala, how are you? Go ahead, Baba.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah, and in Ndebele clan, yes, King. I want to know, because I understand Mukwaduva is the brother to, is the son of Muzi. And then I want to know the real surname that they were using before. And also to know the real surname of our king.
The real surname of the king. Okay. All right. And then maybe let's take one more.
Yes, hello?
Hi, how are you? Is it now Puto?
Yes, it's Poto in Polokwane.
How are you, brother? Go ahead.
Yes, I'm good. Just a quick one. I want to find out in terms of succession. I mean, the king has already explained that there are different kings, the ones that were appointed by homelands, by the apartheid government. But which succession does get what? Which succession is used at the moment? Is it the ones appointed like previously before colonialism, or the ones appointed by apartheid government? Which ones basically? What is his advice on that? Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's jump to His Majesty King Makosoke. His Majesty.
Can you repeat the first question?
So the first question, I think, was the most simplest. The difference between the Zimbabwean Ndebeles and the South African Ndebeles.
Yeah, let's be clear about this, because it's something that always causes confusion amongst the Ndebeles and the South African people. Mzilikazi has left Natal around the 1815, and they found the Ndebeles who were around, by then we were around the Silver Lake here in Pretoria. He have stayed for 2-3 years, and he have also called himself Ndebele. Remember, our history is dating back to 1400 in the Transvaal. So when he left here, he have left with some of our people. Other books, other historians, they are saying he have left with about 18,000 people. And he was moving around conquering smaller tribes, moving towards Zimbabwe today. Then when you go to Matebele land in Zimbabwe, you will find that there are Xhosas, there are Zulus, there are Ndebeles, there are Swatis, there are Tswanas. He was conquering, he have conquered different nationality and called themselves the Ndebele after he have left us around 1822 at Silver Lake here next to Pretoria.
Okay.
So Mzilikazi per se himself, no, we are not a party to him. Mzilikazi is clear, everyone knows his surname is Kumalo, Umtungwa, from Natal. We don't have a surname of
Mukwaduba. Oh, no. I think the king got cut off. But I think it was getting to that surname question. When he was talking about the surnames, he was asked, is Mukwaduba, I think was the pronunciation, the real surname of the Ndebele people. Let's take a quick pause here and then we'll come back on the other side of this. I think we've got Nkosi Mvelo, who's managed to join in the last portion of the conversation.
Ashopol is over 110 years old and was born out of the desire to serve South Africans who work hard to build this country from the ground up. With over 5 million lives covered and named Best Life Insurer by Forbes, Ashopol is here for you today and will be there for your family tomorrow. SMS serve to 44366 and we'll call you back. Ashopol is an insurer licensed to conduct life insurance business, an authorized financial services provider. FSP 53. T's and C's apply.
We've upgraded. Our new GIS-linked national address database lets us connect with you better than ever before. By visualizing licensed and unlicensed households nationwide, we can ensure timely communication. Our payment reminders are a crucial tool to help you stay compliant and avoid penalties, empowering you to take proactive steps. Efficient electronic communication helps us collect fees seamlessly, bolstering the SABC's mandate in line with Section 27 of the Broadcasting Act. TV licenses, pay yours, make a difference.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
What did you want to achieve when you went on a TikTok platform to educate other people on HIV?
So as a child, obviously navigating HIV wasn't always easy and, beautiful. And I always thought to myself, I made a promise that I'll become the adult that I wanted to have as a child, because there were no HIV activists that were relatable at my time. And so last year I realized that I'm really at a place where this is a positive experience. I am knowledgeable and I am ready to, finally be that beacon of hope for other people, just to hold their hands as they navigate, this journey, because that's what we all need. We just need someone to do it with. And so because that was necessary, I decided to, publicly disclose my status, do it on TikTok, and yeah.
Nomonde Ngema was a 21-year-old TikToker living with HIV.
SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
It is the Full Circle. We continue our conversation with His Majesty King Makhosoke II, who is the King of Amandebele, the nation as a whole. And we've made an executive decision because we couldn't get a hold of Nkosi Mvelo in time to join the conversation from the beginning, and we want to give it the due time now that it also deserves. We're hoping to have the gentlemen together as we spoke around Amabala as well as Amandebele Ndebele. So we're going to reschedule Nkosi Mvelo, and then we'll have a conversation with him, separate to this conversation. So we continue. If you have any questions around Amandebele or points of clarity or things that you've heard and you want to find out more from the person who holds authority, 0614104107 is our WhatsApp line, and 086 000 2032. King, let's get back to, and I know it cut when you were in the middle of, I think, answering the other question around the surname. And I don't know if I had the pronunciation correct from the caller. I think I heard him say Mulala was our caller, and I think I heard him say that the surname Mukwaduba, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he wanted to know if that was the surname of your lineage, or what is the real surname of the king.
Yeah. No, it's fine. In all the history of the South Africans, their history was not talking about the surnames in the early ages. It seems this thing of the surname, it has came later, naming after a person. For instance, if you look our geological tree, we have one king which was named Mabena. And seemingly from there, then, all they've called themselves Mabena surname. It seems that I think the researchers should help us on this one. The question of Mkhwaduba, actually Mkhwaduba, King Musi has 6 wives. The first child from the first wife it was Manala. The second one is Kosana or Masombua. The third one is Mzunza. These are the names of the child of King Musi. Then there's Mkhwaduba, also a child of Musi. We have Kekana, but his name was Umtombe. The Kekanas were around Sibitiela, Mokopong, and Amaskra. The other one is Udlomo, but the history says Udlomo has went back to Natal. And the last one, the history now, I'm just talking from the history.
Yes.
It's in Papuli.
Interesting. Very interesting. And then I want to also get to some of the questions here. Someone wanted to ask if how did it happen that the Ndebeles are scattered around Mpumalanga but not settled in one place, but are found in what they say, their words, bits and pieces, for instance, Bethel, but the homeland is far north in Gwandebele, and that was from Oscar Jasmine in Zakani. They want to know that. I guess the migration of the Ndebele people briefly.
Yeah. The sons of King Musi, there was a dispute amongst the kingship. So Nzunza went far to the extreme east around Rosenega. Mkhwaduba went towards Amaskrat. And Mtombe has went to the northern part where he is today at Sibitiel and surrounding. That's how the split has happened. And Dlomo has went back to Natal. Now, when the homeland of the Ndebele people was to be established, initially, the homeland was to take the Ndebele Sinebo, Sibitiela, Mkombani, Amaskral, and Kwandebele. That was the initial plan. But geographically, when you know these places, when I'm speaking, you can see that it would have been the biggest homeland in the Republic of South Africa. Therefore, those who were in power by then did not agree with the plan.
I see.
Yes.
I see. Let's go to WhatsApp. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line.
Good afternoon, sir, Mr. M. Captain. It's a very nice topic, really, the culture of South African and the different tribes. It's in the next 20 years, a lot of South African or black people, Interpela, Xhosa, Zulu, Venda, Sotho, North Sotho, they weren't able to know their culture. For example, now the student who are high school, if you ask it, write down your history, Xhosa, Zulu, they won't know, they won't pass the exam, really. That's the reality. They're losing the culture and Ubuntu, where we come from, in the mother tongue, all that, really. It's easy, they know what's going in England or whatever, or they can write the Queen history, but they won't write the royal family from the Xhosa or Zulu and the Bela and all that. That's the reality. We're losing our culture and ethnic where we come from, really. It's time to learn Africa, different language, different ethnic, different group. You have to know Africa, really. Rather the people, they know more European, all that. The colony, they know more colony rather than Africa history. It's a nice topic. Let's talk.
Let's go to the next WhatsApp.
Hi to SAFM. May I please ask a question here? If King Makosonke calls himself a king of Amandebele as a whole, because in Amandebele we've got two tribes, Amanzunza and Amanala. And from what I know, he's a king of Amanala. So if you're calling him as a king of Amandebele as a whole, does that mean he's overruling the Amanzunza tribe? May you please elaborate?
King?
Yeah. Well, the listeners will remember that before 1994, in most nationalities there were more than one king. And in 1994, before the elections, we had a meeting with our late former President Mandela. The complaint which was raised sharply on that meeting was that the government does not treat the kings and the senior traditional leader equally. And Mandela, our late president, has said, if that is the case, then it's wrong. His first term in the office, the first 5 years, but when we were moving towards the second term, where our president, Mbeki, was elected as the president, then the government come back and say, no, yeah, we have looked your complaint, but there's one thing that we must fix it correct. It can be correct that one nationality is having two kings. One nationality must have one king. Then, we as government, we are going to appoint the commission that will investigate in terms of the culture and the tradition and the history of those nationalities. Who is senior? Who is the king? And the Nkapu Commission was appointed. It has took more than 5 years, I think. At the end of the commission, then the commission said the determination is that in terms of the culture and tradition of the Ndebele people and their history, the senior house is of Manala House.
Okay.
In the lineage of King Makosonke II. Now, yes, I understand. Others, they will feel pain. Obviously, the truth will never be sweet. But let's be honest and be fair.
Okay. I mean, we appreciate you illuminating and enlightening us. And it's been quite fabulous. And we could tell towards the middle of our conversation, even the king himself started warming up to our energies. We appreciate your time this afternoon, King Makosoke. Unfortunately, we have to leave it there today, but I think you've definitely allowed myself and our listeners a little bit of insight to Amandebele, and the rest is now on us to go and Google and do the necessary reading and learn more about yourself, your family lineage, as well as, just the culture and traditions of your people. But for today, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much once again for your time. It's really been a very enlightening conversation, I think, for me as well, as we vula umlomo on this series for Heritage Month, where we're focusing on the various tribes and nations that are found within South Africa. That was His Majesty King Makosoke II of Amandebele Nation as a whole. It's just gone 10 to 2 o'clock. We're going to hit a quick pause here, and then we come back and we get into Maiden Essay.
Hey, Ntwana, if I could, I'd fly to Dubai. Here we go again. First class, Exeni. Ngithi shwe. Get myself a V12 Beast and a mansion with Instagram-worthy views. You don't even have Instagram. Imagine seeing the city skyline from my bedroom, watching MasterChef SA while I have my very own MasterChef in my kitchen. Forget the queues at the cinema. I'd have one in my crib, Joe. I'm talking 7.1 surround sound and a 120-inch 8K TV whilst I'm sipping on some grapes. I'm talking luxury, Ntwana. What do you know about that? Let me school you, bro. Tune into Dubai, Buying the Dream, Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. on S3, and channel your inner luxury. Only on S3. Open up.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand, or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading lens enhancements. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Book online or call your nearest store today. Specsavers, for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. You love drama? Then step into the world of Luther as he cracks down on criminals terrorizing the streets of London Monday to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Top Gear will have you falling in love and rolling in laughter as Jeremy Clarkson and his team take you on an automotive journey like no other, Monday to Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up. S3.
Made in SA with Bridget Masinga.
So on the other side of 2 o'clock, we're going to continue with Nkosi Mvelo Nokonyana, who is the traditional leader of Amabala, which is under the Mbondos, under the Greater Xhosa Nation. So we'll have that conversation on the other side of 2. If you have anything that you want to already slot in by way of comments or points of clarity or observations around that particular nation, you can definitely do that right now. Our lines are still open, so you can send through those comments and questions on our WhatsApp so that we can get to them right at the beginning of the conversation. Right now, though, it is Made in SA, and we're looking at Kind Kid Toys with founder of Kind Kid Toys, Sanele Gwabe. How are you doing this afternoon? And he's an artist based in Durban, and he's created a line of designer toys called Kind Kids. How are you?
I'm all good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I cannot complain at all. I mean, let's talk Kind Kids and what inspired the creation of the designer toys called Kind Kids.
So it all began as like, because I'm an animator, and it began through that journey of animation. And from animation, I really like for people to have tangible things, like part of my work with them. And started with the movie, and the movie was about like a plush toy.
Yeah.
A plush toy finding love in the plush machine with another plush toy, and then from there I made a plush toy. And I realized, oh, actually I did want to go into this route of like toys for a while, and I had to sit and think of how I would go about it, on what would be my message behind whatever I'm gonna venture in, and that's how Kind Kid sort of like started.
I mean, Sanele, I'm sort of and I'm in agreement as you talk about plush toys. Like I know what you're talking about. What is a plush toy?
No, plush toy. You know when you go into like a gaming arcade area, and then there's this machine with the claw. Where you get the teddy bears.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are plush toys.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. All right. And then all of that led to you then starting Kind Kid, which is obviously the designer toys. Tell us a bit about, Kind Kids, and what kind of toys are you now producing? Do you have a collection, a series, and does it speak to any particular thing? Perhaps if you honed into being proudly South African in creating them and their likeness?
Yes, definitely. Like, I'm very much inspired about the country that we live in. I think we live in a very amazing country, and it's part of why I started the company Kind Kid, because I do want to, in a sense, inspire the kids, as well as how I wish, in some sort of way, wish I could have been inspired myself. To say, hey, it's possible to go through this route. These options, like giving the kids more options on a career and what's possible and what's not. But yeah, Kind Kid is basically about your childhood memories, and most specifically about that child in you, that it still exists for everybody. And to always make sure that you remember to celebrate that part of you, because in some sense it's still, it would be very happy to know that you are where you are. The 10-year-old you will be proud of the 28 or 40-year-old you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But by way of the business of manufacturing toys, is it an easy sort of task to get done in South Africa?
No, it's not, because there's not that. Actually, there's no space at all to sort of learn that craft. It's something that you have to research on your own and reach out to people overseas that are doing it to get information, sort of educate yourself and ask for help. Like, never be afraid to ask for like advice or as many questions as you can, just to get the thing up and running. And just, the nitty-gritties of how to actually produce one toy. Yeah.
Absolutely. For anybody that's looking to see what you got on offer, or perhaps even, place some orders for their kids or the kids in their lives, what's the easiest way?
The toys are collectible toys. So not necessarily for kids, because they're made out of resin. So like I said, they are they're supposed to remind you about the little you, and to always cherish the little you. So they're not like plain toys.
Okay, I got you.
They're more like an artifact where you would buy a painting and then you would hang it. And it's a collectible toy is a similar thing, where you would buy a toy and then you would put it wherever in your in your house or workplace that you want to. We do have them available on Amazon, South Africa, to order. And you can also purchase them through me via Instagram. You can just DM me and let me know which one you're interested in, and then we can just take it from there.
Awesome stuff. All right. Thank you so much. It was a blast getting to meet you and, of course, learning more about these collectible toys. We've got, and he says, Usanele, you can find him on Amazon SA is where you can go. Let's take a quick break and then we come back, we get into the news.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. Simply SMS CAR to 43187 now.
The top stories at 2, a rabies outbreak among seals in the Northern Cape, and expelled MK MPs to appeal the court ruling. A very good afternoon. There's been an outbreak of rabies among seals in the northern parts of the Northern Cape. It's believed that the outbreak originated from Namibia. The Western Cape has been battling to contain an outbreak there, which has crippled businesses linked to the sector. There's growing concern that if not contained, the outbreak will affect more marine mammals around Honderklip Bay, Goingnas and Port Noloth. Tamsin Lovelock from the Infectious Disease Division at Stellenbosch University.
I think it was predictable that this is going to be affecting a large proportion of seals. Seals can travel quite big distances. They live in large family groups. So we only know about the ones we've tested, but I think we can assume that there are many, many more positive seals. Of course, it's concerning, and this is a completely new discovery. Seals are a bit of a special case, but there is no reason that it couldn't extend to other marine mammals.
The 10 expelled MK Party MPs say they will appeal the Western Cape High Court ruling dismissing their urgent interdict application. They wanted to prohibit the MK Party from fielding candidates to replace them in the National Assembly. They also wanted to prohibit Parliament from administering the oath of office of new MPs pending the outcome of their review application. They were expelled from the party last month. The High Court found that the applicants have failed to show a prima facie right worthy of their protection. The legal team representing Morwadi Cholota says it still needs disclosure in terms of the evidence that the NPA has provided them. Cholota has been charged with fraud, corruption and money laundering in a matter related to the controversial 2014 Free State Asbestos project worth 255 million rand. She's the ex-personal assistant to the then Free State Premier, Ace Magashule. Her lawyer, Pete Tibani, says they were not ready for the pre-trial that was set for today in the Free State High Court in Bloemfontein due to the NPA's voluminous evidence handed over to them.
The intention was mainly to deal with a pre-trial, but considering the fact that we still need a disclosure, hence the matter is postponed to basically 16 October. Disclosure in itself, it talks to what the state intends to rely on. So the matter is postponed to allow us to be given disclosure, which might lead to basically to other requests. But obviously we need to consider that, take instruction, consult with client, and we'll move forward from there.
Free State NPA spokesperson Mojalefase Nokwatsana says they're ready for the pre-trial.
The prosecution is ready for the pre-trial, but the defense requested a longer time in order to afford them an opportunity to peruse the docket. So as the state, we are ready to commence with the trial.
The DA has threatened to walk out of the Government of National Unity should President Cyril Ramaphosa go ahead and sign the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill into law. The President is intending to sign the bill, which aims to strengthen governance within South Africa's education sector, on Friday. DA leader John Steenhuisen says the bill has constitutional implications for the right to mother tongue education, amongst other issues. he has vowed to meet with the president before the planned signing ceremony. Ntebu Mokobo reports.
Love is said to be on the rocks between the two major parties in the GNU, the ANC and the DA, over the Bella Bill, touted as the legislation which seeks to strengthen governance within the South African education sector. The bill amends sections of the South African Schools Act of 1996 and the 1998 Employment of Educators Act. But the DA says if the president proceeds with the signing of the bill despite its strong objections, he will be violating both the letter and spirit of the joint statement of intent that forms the basis of the current GNU arrangement. Equally, all eyes will be on President Ramaphosa during the public signing ceremony on Friday and on the DA's next course of action after the signing. Ntebu Mokobo for SABC News in Johannesburg.
And the Depression and Anxiety Group, SADC, says that the number of calls they receive per day has increased by more than 300% in the last few years post the COVID-19 pandemic. The month of September marks SADC's 30th anniversary. The organization has been at the forefront of creating awareness and destigmatizing mental illness. SADC founder and director Zane Wilson.
Started in '94. It was a brilliant year to start, obviously with other important things, but there was very little mental health in the way of support for patients, and started one support group which grew to 2 to 5 to 20. We're sitting now at 200 around the country. You know, we were doing about 500 to 1,000 calls a day up until COVID. When COVID came, the numbers grew. We're now doing up to 3,000 calls a day.
The top story this hour, there's been an outbreak of rabies among seals in the northern parts of the Northern Cape. The full circle continues. For SAFM News, Kimudupima Khalemele.
And that's that for the news this hour. Theft, accident, and 1 million rand liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. And you can get a quote today by simply SMSing car to 43187. So here's the good news for you and your older car. With Outsurance Essential, a 22-year-old woman pays only 384 Rand a month for her 2012 white Kia Picanto 1.2X and gets paid cash so she can choose her own panel beater after an accident. Get the cover that you need. Get Outsurance Essential for unfinanced cars that are older than 5 years and valued at less than 125,000. It's time to switch and save. SMS car to 43187. That's car to 43187 today. Remember that Outsurance is a licensed FSP and T's and C's do apply.
Liverpool FC have collected maximum points in their opening 3 matches of the 2024-2025 season. They want more victories.
Look at the white shirts coming here. Salah scores at Old Trafford again.
Meanwhile, Forest want to dictate terms at Anfield.
High towards the back post. Wood with a free header. Yes! 1-0 Forest. Chris Wood scores.
This is the Premier League. Catch the spectacular clash between Liverpool FC and Nottingham Forest on Saturday, 14 September at 3:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. The students, UJ ladies, want to ensure that they secure 3 points to stay close to the heels of second place UWC ladies. However, Copperbelt ladies plan to fasten their belts tight and escape from the bottom half. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch them Zanzi Queens of the beautiful game. UJ Ladies FC versus Copperbelt Ladies FC on Saturday, 14 September at 11 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
This This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
through with Kauleza. Somebody brought to my attention just a few weeks ago, in fact, that I should start attentively listening to Hugh Masekela's lyrics. And I did exactly that. I started attentively listening to some of the lyrics in his songs, and some of them really... Some of them, they were just questionable. If he was still around with us, he would have delighted in coming into studio, and we could talk around the lyrics. For instance, in Tanai, we could talk around some of these lyrics and what inspired them on the one hand, but also on the other hand, ngempela manje. When you are making fun of a woman and harassing her woman because of her covetousness, what was that about? And who was the woman that you wrote the song after? Because then maybe it will help us understand the lyrics. He was such a delight. If you never had the opportunity of meeting the late, great Hugh Masekela, he was such a delightful old man. And, I met him a few times in my more youthful years, and I still had an afro, and he completely approved. And then in later years, when we'd interact and I started wearing weaves, he was completely disapproving to a point where he would grab my hair at the back when we were taking pictures. He'd just grab it in the most abrupt manner and curl it up into a ball and say, "I love everything about you except this hair." And then I'd have to convince him that my afro lives underneath, But he was just a delightful old man. So I know that he would have relished in the opportunity of coming into studio and we interrogate his musical catalog, specifically the lyrics of some of the songs. Right now, though, we're shifting focus a little bit. We're having a very, a really urgent conversation, and we have this conversation annually. We talk around this theme, and it is a very heavy one. It is a very serious one, and it requires us to plug in from different perspectives. We observed World Suicide Prevention Day, and we know that suicide is a deeply challenging topic, deeply challenging, incredibly emotive, very personal to many South Africans. But it's crucial that we keep having this conversation, and we keep trying to come up with ways that we can be more conscientized as South Africans. And we've got Megan Gonsalves of Netcare Akiso joining us now, and she's the crisis line manager. Good afternoon to you, Megan. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. Very well, thanks, and you?
Thank you for affording us the time. We appreciate it. So yesterday, in fact, it was World Suicide Prevention Day, observed on the 10th of September. And let's talk around the significance of days like this in highlighting conversations that are often very heavy because they're so very personal for so many people.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always an easy conversation to have, but it's a necessary one. And a day like World Suicide Prevention Day and many of the other health awareness days that exist really exist to highlight the importance of this ongoing awareness and the importance of education to everyone so that we can eventually help to reduce suicide rates, that people can become more aware of options available for them if they need help, and also how to even know if you need help.
And the complexities that come into play when we talk about the various factors that contribute towards, death by suicide. And we know in South Africa, there are particular periods in the year, especially where we see spiked numbers, specifically if we're talking about the younger population of South Africa.
Yeah, any time of intense stress and transition can always be a bit of a trigger. Because we react to those kind of periods differently. So suicide is rarely contributed to by one factor. It's often a combination of things, and often a combination of underlying or known things like depression, anxiety, substance use, going through a trauma, and even things like going through a crisis or having interpersonal issues. All of those things combined or on their own can be a trigger for someone to have suicidal thoughts.
And the trick, Megan, I think the sort of the tricky part of this conversation, right, is when we talk about the factors that contribute towards suicide or that contribute towards death by suicide, things like depression, anxiety, substance abuse, just those three alone, for instance, we very much are still trying to work our way around the understanding of them in their individual silos, let alone then understanding them and linking them to suicide.
Exactly. I mean, they're such complicated disorders in and of themselves, and so many things that contribute to them. And suicidal thoughts is often just one of the symptoms or signs that may be seen when something like this is being experienced. But the whole concept of mental health for so many people is so broad and difficult to comprehend, especially when you consider it on a level that it may lead to someone thinking about taking their own life. You know, we all have periods where we feel stressed or anxious or down. And if you've never experienced it to an extreme where your functionality is impacted and you don't feel like you can go on, it can be challenging to understand why someone might feel that way. But we have to understand that because we don't experience these things the same way. And also, we can experience them in varying levels. And so because there's so many factors contributing to it, if you're unaware of some of them, it can be easy to feel like you should judge someone for what they're experiencing. But when we do that, we're really missing out on understanding the full picture.
Absolutely. I want to take a quick pause here. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock, and then we'll come back on the other side and continue our conversation.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. You love drama? Then step into the world of Luther as he cracks down on criminals terrorizing the streets of London Monday to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Top Gear will have you falling in love and rolling in laughter as Jeremy Clarkson and his team take you on an automotive journey like no other, Monday to Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
S3. The varsity derby between Amatats ladies and UWC ladies will display who are the brighter students. UWC target the top spot, while Amatats want to break into the top 3. This is the Hollywood Best Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. University of Pretoria Ladies FC versus University of the Western Cape Ladies FC on Sunday, 15 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on the Full Circle.
We're in conversation with Megan Gonsalves of Netcare Akiso. Yesterday was World Suicide Prevention Day, observed September the 10th worldwide. And of course, it underscores the urgent need for increased awareness and education around suicide, death by suicide, and, suicidal thoughts. And I think I want to talk about that, Megan, suicidal ideation. We don't understand around what suicidal ideation is and what it looks like. And, perhaps when it goes from being a fleeting moment or a fleeting comment saying, I'd rather be outed, or I'd rather be dead. I didn't want to use the word, versus just that sort of fleeting throwaway to it being real serious suicidal ideation that is consistently and persistently in someone's heart and mind, as a thought and a real tangible possibility of exiting this world. What do we know, what should we be knowing and conscious of when it comes to suicidal ideation?
So we know that people experience this at different levels. For some people, it is, like you said, maybe a bit of a fleeting thought. For others, it extends into actually planning and thinking of how they would do certain things. But what's really I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is the escalation between the initial thought and the action can be very short. So a lot of people have a misconception that, suicides are planned far in advance, and therefore if someone is suicidal, there's nothing we can do about it. But the truth is that research has actually shown that up to 50% of people, kind of sitting anywhere up to 50% of people in less than 5 to 10 minutes had thought of suicide for the first time and then actually acted on it. So that escalation from an initial fleeting thought to an act can be really rapid. And it's so crucial that we don't take even fleeting thoughts without seriousness. We have to take everything, whether it is a comment in passing or a laid out plan, we have to take them with equal seriousness to understand that that person is dealing with pain or discomfort or overwhelming feelings that they feel they are not able to manage. And that for them at that point, it feels like there may be no other way out or to end what they're suffering with.
The role of social media in these conversations, because we often see people, if you're on platforms like Twitter and Facebook where people engage in words, you'll see people and you'll read things that appear to us like a cry for help. And oftentimes you get one of two responses. The folks that would come on and try to be encouraging, try to show, the positive side of the situation. And then you get the folks that erg on the whatever sentiment has been showed or shared, rather. What do we do in those situations where, a complete stranger perhaps, or someone that you just know from social media interaction shares something that is of concern, that seems like a cry out? What does one do in those moments in order to intervene or perhaps even lend a lifeline?
Yeah, the world, and particularly social media, can be a very cruel place, and people often don't realize the impact that their words can have, because you don't know where that other person on the other side of the message is perhaps sitting. But obviously it depends kind of how you know the person that you may be interacting with. If it's someone you know very well, then it's a difficult conversation to have, but it may be necessary to ask directly whether they are struggling with suicidal thoughts, whether they have a plan, whether they're thinking of harming themselves, and then listen without judgment, and then make sure that you then can help to guide them into professional options, and follow through and check in on them and help to keep them as safe as you can. If it's someone you don't know, for example, on a social media platform, I always feel like it's really important, number one, to defend the integrity of the conversations around mental health. So we have to be careful of our language around things. And so if you notice yourself or someone around you or someone you don't know making light of mental health language, it's quite important that we stand up for that. And we say, we defend it, and it's not okay to say certain things to people. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're dealing with. And that little bit of encouragement can go a really long way for someone who is struggling, even if they don't know who you are. A message that says, I hear you, I hear things are difficult, and I really hope that things get better. I really hope you reach out and you speak to someone. Even a message prompt like that could make the world of a difference to someone that you don't even know, because maybe that's just the lifeline that they need access to.
I think the key takeaway that I've just taken from that is, be direct in asking, are you having suicidal thoughts? Because sometimes we're a bit apprehensive. You don't know if maybe your directness is intruding.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconception that speaking about suicide, prompts people to act on it. But the reality is that if we don't speak about these things, we leave the doors closed. And so as uncomfortable as a conversation around this may be for some people, the necessity is to ask it directly so you can understand what's going on and what you're dealing with and what needs to be done to help keep that person safe and hopefully get them help. And it is really important, because the more we keep the doors shut on these conversations, the more taboo it becomes to talk about it, the harder it is for someone to reach out and speak up when they need help. And that direct asking may be exactly what that person needs to get a conversation going that they may not otherwise know how to begin.
Always a pleasure talking to the guys at Netcare Akiso, and of course I think you've given us some really valuable information today. We appreciate the time. That was Megan Gonsalves, who is with Netcare Akiso, and she's the crisis line manager. You can also find them on their 24-hour crisis line, which is 0861 435-787. So if you need to reach out and talk to somebody, they have a 24-hour crisis line on 0861 435-787. And of course, the South African Anxiety and Depression Group can also be found on their line, which is 0800 567 567. 0800 567 567. So if you feel like you need to talk to somebody today, those two lines I hope come in quite handy for you. Madupi Mkhalamele is standing by with the headline news.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridge, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines at 2:30, Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi says the department is considering pursuing a way of mediation instead of fighting medico-legal cases in the courtrooms. There's been an outbreak of rabies among seals in the northern parts of the Northern Cape, and the Banks of Africa Economic Transactions Index shows that electronic transactions remain at their highest levels since March 2022. And those are your headlines. A full news update, 3 o'clock.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
So our conversation is going to continue in just a matter of moments with Unkosi Mwelo Nokonyana, who is a traditional leader of Amabala. And the Amabala clans fall under the Mpondos, which forms part of the Greater Xhosas, but he'll tell us more. This is why we're doing this series. So we just kicked it off earlier on in the first hour with the king of Amandebele Nation, and now we're going to talk around AmaXhosa and trying to find out a little bit more, because I was just last year old when I learned that it's a collective. AmaXhosa is not a singular, it's a collective. And so we'll get a little bit more information from Unkosi Mwelo when he comes through on the line. But if you want to share, want to maybe get a point of clarity, want to find out a little bit more, maybe you know something about Amabala and you can tell us a little that you know, or some things that you've heard. Our WhatsApp lines are open in the meantime, and you can get those questions in now on 061 410 4107. That's our WhatsApp line where you can send through your voice notes. Don't save it for the last moment, because then we're rushing for time. 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line, and my producers are also standing by on the phone on 086 000 2032. Let's get into Kids Corner.
This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Good day. My name is Dembo Morfe. I'm 7 years old. Yes, I can make food for myself. I make food for myself in the morning, like cereal. My favorite food to eat is McDonald's food. What I enjoy about McDonald's is dipping the chicken nuggets in the sauce. The chicken nuggets are juicy. If I could make food in the morning, it will be cornflakes, because they're quick and easy to make. In the afternoon, I'll make bread and jam, because I like strawberry jam. And in the evening, I'll make pizza, because it's one of my favorite meals after McDonald's.
Hello everyone, my name's Munira and I'm 10 years old. If I'm honest, the only food I can make for myself is cereal, toast or sandwiches. My favorite spread on bread is Nutella. I'm not really a cheese, jam or peanut butter person. Since I'm only 10, I'm not allowed to use the kettle and stove without adult supervision. I love eating oodles of noodles. My mom normally makes me breakfast in the morning and lunch in the afternoon and supper at night. But on a Saturday and Sunday morning, I'll make my favorite cereal, Cocoa Crunch. Sometimes I'll make my father's cereal as well. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Hello, my name is Namutangu. Yes, I can make food for myself when I'm hungry and want something delicious to eat. My favorite food to make is spaghetti because it's easy to make and delicious. In the mornings, I would have tea with toast. In the afternoon, I would have a sandwich and a fruit. In the evenings, I would have spaghetti, meatballs, and veggies. I like these dishes because it is healthy, nutritious.
Good day, my name is Monet Angel Nengobera. Yes, I can make food for myself. When I make food for myself, I think it's when there's nobody at home or I'm just hungry, so then I decide to go and make food for myself. My favorite food to eat or make is noodles, I think, because it is easy to prepare and it doesn't take much time. So if I'm in a rush, I can just quickly cook noodles and eat. If I could make food for myself in the morning, afternoon and evening, I would make something like macaroni and cheese in the evening, and then in the morning I'm not really sure, and then in the afternoon I would have like a healthy kind of lunch. Thank you and have a lovely day.
Hello everybody, my name is Tulufela Mweng and I do make myself my own food now, considering I am a big boy and I don't need my parents to make me my own food. I make food when I'm hungry, of course, and of course I'm as well. Like, honestly, when I'm bored I do eat a lot. I really don't know, but when I'm bored I just eat. Also make myself a little snack, and I do eat a little desserty things here and there. My favorite meal to make is a wrap, because a wrap is very healthy for you. It's good. Yeah, there are a lot of nutrients and minerals in a wrap because it's a combination of vegetables, mushrooms, a bit of some meat, and carbs. In all honesty, the meal I'd want to eat every single day in the morning, afternoon, and evening is a burger and pizza and milkshake, you know, all those nice things, if I'm being honest, but I can't have that every day. So I keep it balanced. Maybe cereal in the morning, and then at lunch a good sandwich with some healthy vegetables and carbs in it, with a bit of some protein, and then when I come back from school, just an after school little snack meal, some avocado with a side of little meat and toast with some tomato. And then in the evening I'd like to keep it a little simple, just probably spaghetti or pasta bolognese.
Hello, my name is Ashley Kabamba. I think children need to know and how to do a certain thing, like helping around the house and cooking. So when we grow older, we will know how to cook and be independent around the house.
Hello, my name is Bola Ramadi. Some kids should learn to do things by their own, because one day they'll have to do things without the help of their parents, because sometimes they'll be not home.
Hello friends and happy Wednesday. Today we're diving into the importance of being responsible and learning to do things independently as kids. Being responsible means taking care of yourself and managing tasks on your own. A fantastic way to practice this is by making your own meals. When you learn to prepare food, you're not just helping yourself, you're also proving that you can handle important tasks without always relying on someone else. It might feel a bit tough at first, but starting with simple food will make it much easier. Making food for yourself teaches you valuable life skills. For example, you can learn how to whip up a healthy sandwich, a fresh salad, or even toast. When you make your own meals, you boost your confidence in your abilities, plus you begin to appreciate the time and effort that goes into preparing the food. And let's be honest, there's nothing quite like enjoying a meal that you created all by yourself. That said, safety in the kitchen is important. Always ask your parents or another adult to help you with things like using the stove or demonstrating safe knife skills. Begin with simple, safe tasks like spreading butter on bread or mixing ingredients. As you gain more experience, you will improve, and with the right supervision from your family, you can tackle more complex cooking tasks. Being able to prepare your own meals is an important step towards becoming more responsible. It shows that you can meet your own needs in a safe and smart manner. So start small, prioritize safety, and have fun in the kitchen.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education. Enriching minds, enriching lives. Bridget Masinga, weekdays on the Full Circle.
Africa. Kubalina ngakubona ngokucombuluka kwenamba. Iyala yonke inkunzi enkulu ezinhloko zezinkunzi. Dola lesizwe se-Afrika. Mabulu shwake mini beswajongile. Wasile kumandla lilahlekile. Qalani izizwe libonakele. Iyala yonke into enkulu. Didinde wiqopho kumaqapha zegolide. Ufutulula mangolwane iqhula kuphendla intwala ze-Afrika. Uxhalabani banzi lokuthwala inzingo zelilizwe. Yala 20 city ngolo hlobo. Yo ho 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 ho. Neham. Yo.
I mean, we thought we would welcome Unkosi Mwelo Nonkonyana in the best way that we know how to, as a traditional leader of Amabala clans under the Mpondos, and of course the provincial chairperson of the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa in the Eastern Cape, with a praise poem by Zolani Mkiva, who's now, by the way, the Contralesa Secretary General in his day-to-day role. Good afternoon to you, Nkosi. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Madam. Afternoon to all your listeners. Royal greetings to all. It is really a pleasure during this month of ours to be welcome in this way and participate in your program.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate you for indulging us. We thought that, it's not only important, but also it's just illuminating for us and enlightening and hopefully fun to have a conversation about the various cultures and nations and their respective traditions and rights in South Africa. And so we appreciate you taking the time. I guess maybe let's get some context, Nkosi Mwelo. Let's get some context firstly as to the lineage of Nkosi Mwelo Nonkonyana. And of course, we know we don't have all the time to go through all the history, but if you can give us a brief snapshot of how you become the traditional leader of Amabala.
Of course, I'm from King Bala himself, who was one of the kings of Amampondo, and I'm in the main house of Meisi. And after Meisi, all the eldest sons from the main house took over the position. And I took over, of course, from my father, Malaipeli, and he took over from my grandfather, Sam, and Sam from Gonzana from Nonkonyana, and all until Pondo himself. We can just draw our lineage right up. That is why all traditional leaders must have roots, and as you can gather, a traditional leader is a traditional leader because of the nation he or she leads.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about, because I had a listener here, Ubongi, who I've been communicating with for the last hour. Ubongi firstly was saying, hey, Bridget, there's no Amabala, it's Amabaka. And I've heard of Amabaka, but I'd never heard of Amabala. And you say that they come from the Mpondo lineage. Yes, I'm correct in understanding that.
Yes.
Okay.
Amabaka are different indeed. They've got, it's an offshoot from Amaz.
I see.
But they've got their long, illustrious history as well. That is very, very interesting.
Okay, then let's talk about, so Amampondo, from what I understand, form part of the tribes underneath Amaxhosa. I'm correct, right?
You are wrong.
I'm wrong.
Wrong. And we are not alone to think that way. You know, I had my colleague, Ntombi Mzimela, one of the Zulu friends of mine who was a traditional leader. When I told him I'm Mpondo, he said, "What?" I thought that he was going to be excited because that's where Oriva Tambo comes from. He said, "No, as Zulus we regard Pondos as a tribe that is troublesome from the Xhosa nation." I laughed off and I told him, "No, you can't. In fact, Xhosa are different, distinct from Amampondo. We do have our own language, we have our own culture, and we know each other."
Oh, really? Okay. So then how do we become confused as people? Because ngempela, I've got a lot of friends from the Eastern Cape. I group them all as Amaxhosa, and some have said that they are Amampondo, the likes of Simpiwe, Dana. But I've always just assumed, Uguti, it's a tribe that falls underneath the collective of Amaxhosa. So tell us how Amampondo come to be adjacent but not the same.
Well, it is the history. You know, one of our kings got married to a princess from Galeka.
Okay.
And that princess from Galeka could not beget any son. And then she then adopted a son from another royalty there in terms of Amampondo culture.
Okay.
And she named that child as Zikau. That is why you find that our kings there are Zikaus. And then there are Zikaus of Amaxhosa and Zikaus of Amampondo. And that creates confusion. Another thing is the language. And the Amaxhosa have actually forced upon us isiXhosa. As I tell you, we've got our own language, Simpondo. If I utter Simpondo now, you will not understand a word.
Really?
And that is why, therefore, we are saying want to assert ourselves and as distinct. And of course, with Amampondo means we are of the same similar lineage. Amampondo means Pondo and Pondomise were twins. And the eldest twin was Pondomise, and the youngest twin, who was clever, is Mpondo. And that is why we were the king first, and they are king from yesteryears, after years of struggle. And so it's very, very interesting history that we have. Thank you very much for actually giving us this opportunity.
Very interesting. Okay, so even the language, so interesting. I'm shocked. Can you see me on the screen? I'm gobsmacked. 06141041007 is our WhatsApp line, and 086-000-2032 is the number that you can call if you want to ask Nkosi Mwelo anything at all, if you need a point of clarity or something of interest. Now, Nkosi, tell me this, because your language is so distinct, right, from the cultural practices and the cultural rites, are they also very nuanced from what we know about Amaxhosa, now that we are learning that it's two very different things?
Let me tell you, and also warn you and listeners, my battery is going to die any moment. I'm sorry. If it dies, my apology.
Okay.
But don't worry. Amampondo are different. You know, a lady like you,
yes,
she came to be a nurse in one of the hospitals in Pondoland. And we Pondos, when we greet a lovely woman like yourself, we ask the name and the clan and everything else. But the first question before we propose, we utter the words Udluangbani. and this lady blushed, because according to isiXhosa is something, insulting and things like that. But she got to understand that we are distinct. We wanted to, when Udluangubani is not meaning the Xhosa language, it means who is your lover? Your lover may be my brother, may be my relative. Therefore, you may be my sister in a way. Yes. And so I must respect you. I cannot go further. I'm trying to tell you that we are distinct, and we are direct, and we're honest, I must tell you.
Yes.
That is why Oliver Tambo has been the leader of the oldest movement for many years. And because what we do with all our heart. And of course, if we want to fight, we want to fight, and you fight you.
Right?
Unfortunately.
Now,
so we are really distinct. In terms of even attire, in terms of dance, you will enjoy, we will invite you in one of the cultural events. You'll see something completely different, and you will really respect the Pondo Nation as really one of the nations that must be given a place in the world.
Listen, Nkosi Mina, I'm going to hold you to that because I want to come now to Mpondo Mgidi. I don't even know if you call it Mgidi, but I want to come to Mpondo Mgidi now to see the difference.
Indeed, when a girl comes start menstruating, we do have a very beautiful ceremony. It is distinct, and the girl is actually counseled by elderly women. Now you must stay away from men.
Yes.
If this happens, this will happen to you. And after that one, there is another one. The Amaxhosa called Intonjane, sitting in Pondoland. That is where we slaughter not one beast, the major event. And when we initiate a girl to womanhood. And again, is a ceremony when young men come and dance and everybody else. And it is the duty of young men to take those girls to us, elderly men, in the yard. And then we give words of wisdom.
Lovely.
Very. I will really invite you. And besides that, we do have young men dancing, singing, different.
Yes.
And even we've got Ikwezi Lasengmoza, for instance, some women that are international dancers. When you see them and the way they wear, the way they dance, you will be proud of the Pondo Nation.
I mean, Nkosi Mwelomina, already I'm impressed because from what you're talking about with Umgubu, if I got it correct, just Umgubo, respecting the passage of a young girl to womanhood. A lot of cultures don't necessarily honor these moments for young women, and the fact that they are rites of passage and ceremonies that are dedicated to a young woman's moving through from girlhood to womanhood already says so much about the Mpondos that I'm already very impressed.
No, I will buy you umkoboga, even if you don't come and send it to you. You'll love it, and that is what we give the young ladies, particularly those that are married. We love them so much. And the gesture, you will wear it with pride, I can tell you. But
Absolutely.
The invitation stands.
No, the invitation is taken. We'll just correlate calendars. I want to quickly just get to one or two of our voice notes before you run out of the battery. I want to get to one or two voice notes and hear what people are saying, and maybe there's something that you can respond to. 061-410-4107 is our WhatsApp line. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Hey, Bridget. I want to know if Amabala have made a way to preserve their language, because their language is very different. It's not Xhosa, it's not Zulu, but it's sometimes umuntu okhuluma that language, I do not understand them. So the language yama Khoisans is being preserved, and there's only one person left who speaks the language. What is it that they are doing, Bona, to preserve their language and develop it? Thanks. It's Bongi here.
Hey, Bongi. In fact, there's also a distinction with the Khoi and the San, right? It's a meeting of two different people. And the language that you speak of, I'm forgetting it now. I think is it Kui? Someone will remind me, where there's only one Gogo that speaks that specific language. But some of the other Khoi and San languages, they are still trying to preserve. But I know the one you are talking about is one Gogo that speaks it. Nkosi, Let's talk about the preservation of your language. And this is a good point that Ubongi is bringing up. How are we preserving it?
Actually, we had another fundi in Pondoland. I think it was Professor Kingo, who was developing a dictionary and to preserve our language. Secondly, we do have a community radio station that I chair also, called Inkonjana FM, that is promoting Isimpondo in terms of language and everything else. And after those, there are others. Others are actually artists. They actually Isimpondo. I've just forgotten the name of this lady from Bizana.
Okay.
She's one of the international artists who is promoting Isimpondo very, very well. And there's so many that are coming. I think we needed to organize a Pondo festival. It's a pity that at the present moment we're still fighting as who is the king. And but I hope that we pass that period to have one person that really combines us, and you will see these things. And indeed, I think the listeners and the viewers are quite correct. There's only one way of presenting Pondo. In fact, we are actually saying it must be the 12th, 13th language now, because the sign language has overtaken us.
Yes.
We wanted Pondo to be the next language that must be recognized by PENSALB. And PENSALB, of course, is also having a program to assist us in that regard.
Wonderful stuff. I wish we had more time, but we have to close it here today. But we really do appreciate you taking the time and just introducing us a little bit to the Mpondo culture and the Mpondo people, so that if anything we learned today, it's different from Amaxhosa. That is our big takeaway from today. We appreciate the time with you. That was Unkosi Mwelo Nokonyana, who is a traditional leader of Amapala, not to be confused with Amapaka, and they are a clan under the Mpondos. And he gave us a brief history there as well as to how they come under the Mpondo king. And he is a direct descendant of King Bala himself, a direct descendant of that lineage. Oh, how fascinating. So we still have 2 more of these series to come next week, and the week after we'll still have these introductions into the various clans and tribes and nations that perhaps we don't know about, or perhaps they've been amalgamated and became part and parcel of, a greater nation, and we have them confused, like how we all thought Amampondo were part of Amaxhosa, and now we know to know. They are their own people with their own language, their own cultures, their own traditions and things. And before we wrap it up, I think every time we wrap up this segment during this Heritage Month, we're going to throw to you, get to hear Itagazelo Zakini, ama-clan names, izithi ngonje ngesixhosa idukwa. Someone is going to send me the right pronunciation of what it is in Xhosa. Let's go to WhatsApp.
Hi, my name is Annelisa Hermans, and I am from the Mvulane clan. My clan names are as follows. Ndingumamvulane, uMsuthu, uNcilashe, uBhayi, uKhetshe, inyuke eziqanda ziziba zibuye zidibane.
Molweni bethunani, ndingumXhosa wase Eastern Cape eQonce. I just want to say happy Heritage Month to everyone. And also my clan, ndingowakwantshiza, ogubha, omanqashe, omalilelwa. Happy Heritage Month.
Hi Bridget, ngangimokwanele Dlephu, uRhadebe, umthimkhulu, uBhungane, umafuza afulele njengelifu lemvula, ushwabade washwabadela inkomo nempondo zayo, ungelengele, umpundwana zinhle zincinci zongiwe, ebenhle zombini, ubhucwa.
Listen, when she said impundwana zincinci, Hey, Wena, you must understand what that means. Yes, it's izituko. That is the word I was looking for. Izituko. That is isthakazelo in Xhosa. And that's the one thing I always appreciate. But I don't know if you've noticed, if you ever meet, there are two South African nations that really do this so well. AmaZulu namaXhosa. When you meet them, isthakazelo nezduku, it's just second nature. It's things that they just know. They just know. And it goes one step further, that whatever your surname is, they'll know yours too, as if they go to school to master for every single surname. It's the most incredible thing, the most South African thing that I love. Madupi Makhalamele is standing by. Is it Madupi now? Yes, Madupi Makhalamele is standing by with the 3 o'clock news. I'm tempted to ask him, what is Thakazelo Zakubo? Inshallah, God willing, we leave it here today.
Thank you very much, Sister Bridget Masinga. In your top stories at 3 o'clock, mediation to be considered in medico-legal cases and a rabies outbreak among seals in the Northern Cape. A very good afternoon.